All right. So I think we're live here. Maybe someone can add a comment just to make sure that we are live and everyone can hear me. Cool. So first of all, very excited to have done this launch event. So Fellow 3.5 was kind of a big deal for us. We really wanted to build tools to help you change your meeting culture. And so this was a primary goal, but the other goal was, as people are starting to use Fellow more and more, it can start to create a lot more information inside of Fellow. And so part of the thing that we were trying to do is help you manage that information better. So you saw the customized groups that we had in the home panel. I think that's going to go a long way. But the other thing is just sources of truth. And so when you kind of look at all of the integrations that we had, part of it is that sometimes information lives in Fellow. Sometimes we need to push it to other tools. You saw the additions of Linear and Monday, for example, and there will be many more over the course of time. So very strategically, slowly, we are adding these other features into the product, these extensions, and really trying to help you with all of that. So what we've done is we've compiled some of the questions that that you have been asking during the chat, but feel free to add other ones in the chat here, and I'm happy to answer that. So the first of which is, when is Fellow 3.5 actually going to go live? So obviously, when we do these launches, we do want everybody who comes in and watches this event live to get a sneak peek before the features are out. So we are in the final stages of fine tuning some of these things. Some of the things like the new note button, for example, that we showcased, that is currently live. But some of the other things like meeting analytics and a few other features, they're actually pretty extensive, and they require a lot of work to actually get live onto the system. And so we will be progressively rolling that out over the next few days. And so over the next few days, you'll start to see some of these features rolling out, and maybe some over the next week. But over the next 2 weeks, you should get the bulk of the things that we showed you today. The other question is, there's a question here about from Diva Vocals, which is, did you fix the issue with the integration duplicating tasks? And the answer is, we are working on it right now, and there is a fix. It has been completed, and it will go out very soon. So hopefully you'll get a chance to see that. The other thing that I wanted to, quickly before I answer a few more questions here, is just to send a shout out to Roy, who's been an avid supporter. And I see, Roy, you're here live again with us. And, the other folks, Jason from 6 Beats of Separation. I know you've been a vocal Fellow fan and give us lots of feature suggestions all the time. It's great to see you here as well. And to all the different users who've been giving us a lot of feedback. So Bob from Event Mobi, who really helped us with all the changes and enhancements to our OKRs. Thank you to all of you. And of course, people like Matt Emond, who was part of the Fellow team. I see he is part of the chat today too. So good to see you, Matt. The thing I wanted to mention about feature requests is that we take this stuff very, very seriously. So if you have Fellow open, you go to the bottom left, there's a question mark sign. If you click on that, there's a menu that comes up, and there's a suggest a feature button. We've launched this new tool called Canny that basically we're collating all the feature requests, the bug reports, everything else. We look at this stuff every single day. So if you want to see something in Fellow, please make use of that. We take it very, very seriously. Okay, so I see a question from Mark on how we could use Fellow to drive more asynchronous work. So this is a really great question. What I would suggest, Mark, is we actually have a bunch of content around this, and maybe we can send this to you. But one of the things is that I would start by taking some things that are could very obviously be asynchronous meetings, status update meetings being an example of this. I would change them in your calendar and relabel them as like asynchronous and then name of meeting. And this way, it still shows up on people's calendar, but they know that it's asynchronous and they don't need to dial into a video conference. But they can still go in and update the meeting content and participate in the meeting. The other thing that I'll quickly mention is that another way to approach this is to make part of your meeting asynchronous. So have sections in your meeting agenda which are very much asynchronous, and people can read them on their own time and go through and comment them, and then leave the discussion section of the meeting at the top, and that will be the synchronous part of the meeting. So you can also have meetings where a good portion of it is asynchronous. Maybe there's some pre-reads that people need to do, and then there's a discussion section which you can leave live. But we do also have a lot of content around this, and we can definitely send some of this your way. Okay, so let's go through some of the other questions. One of the questions was around the meeting analytics that we showed today, and around how we're computing some of these things. So, for example, if you have a meeting that says pick up kids from school, are we counting that as meetings? And we have some heuristics in place. So, for example, if something is a time block and there are no attendees, that's not something that we're counting as part of meeting time. So those things are automatically being excluded. So we've created a bunch of rules of thumb. Obviously, with all the users that we have and all the calendar data, it's possible for us to be smart about what things we include as part of those meeting numbers and what things we exclude. So a lot of those things have actually been figured out. In terms of the other questions here, what I would say is there was another question around the home panel. The groups that we showed you, are those on a per user basis, or are those on I guess a workspace wide basis? So the meeting, the segmentation and those groups in the home panel, those are on a per user basis. Everybody kind of has different workflows, and we really wanted to make sure that you had the ability of choosing what kind of workflows you wanted to have. And so all of those things are on a per user basis. So let's see what are the other questions. So any specific mobile app updates? This one of the things that we do whenever we do have a product update is we always update the mobile component. So some of the things that you saw here, for example, you saw that we revamped the feedback section. So the feedback section does also work on mobile. So what we try and do is when we do the work on the web, we also make the updates on mobile. So we're constantly updating mobile. But over the course of time, one of the things that we've heard is that now that some people are going back to the office some of the time, things like mobile are becoming even more important. So I think what you'll see is over the course of time that we'll continue to enhance the mobile experience, and spend a lot more time on it. So that's something that you'll see from us over the next few cycles. So there was a question around, can Salesforce be integrated into Fellow? And so yes, I mean, it wasn't part of this release. It was part of our last release, but there's two CRMs that we integrated. And one of them was Salesforce, and one of them was HubSpot. And we do some really cool things there. You can send your notes from Fellow into those tools. If you're meeting with someone who's in your CRM, there's a side panel that shows up and will show you contact information from those people. So any relevant information that you would have in your CRM would also be there. So that's another thing. So I would, highly encourage you to check it out. It is very useful for anyone, especially that is customer facing. We use it a lot, and it really makes the company look very professional, or companies that use this feature, because you meet with a customer, you kind of like take notes during, you can send the notes to the customer, but at the same time, you can also, basically push it into your CRM. So other people who are keeping track can see that information. Um, so here's another question, which was in there again related to meeting analytics, which was, what do you consider to be a long meeting? And we currently consider a long meeting to be anything over an hour. So, I mean, as you kind of heard earlier, one of our goals is to help you spend less time in synchronous meetings, and so we consider anything over an hour to be a long meeting. Um, so yeah, I think I think that kind of gives us most of the questions. I did want to leave you with some general state of Fellow updates, and also tell you about some of the things that are coming up next. So, one thing that I wanted to say is, like, obviously a big thank you to all of you, our super fans who've been giving us feature suggestions, who've been sending us feedback all the time. We take this stuff very, very seriously. A lot has happened for Fellow over the last year. We've tripled our staff. We've more than quadrupled our customer base. It's really like, I think like the progress that we've made in the last year has been very, very impressive, and a lot of that is, of course, with all the support that we get from all of our users. The thing that we're seeing is that the tide is definitely turning. I think the hybrid work, remote work, all these new concepts have really shined a light on meetings, and people everywhere want to spend less time in unproductive meetings. And so this is one of the things that we are, as an organization, really going to focus on is, how can we get everyone to spend less time in meetings, and the meetings that you actually do spend time in, increase the productivity and ROI of that time. And so a lot of the features that we're building is going to help you do those things. There was a question from Mark about, where's the math for how we save users $7,000 per manager per year. This is based on a study that we did amongst our users. And I think that our marketing team and Manuela and team are going to share some of this information on a blog post. We're creating a bunch of case studies. So that information will definitely be accessible. But all that to say is, like, things have, I think like the next few years is going to be very, very important for what we do at Fellow. There's a lot of very, very exciting things that we're releasing in the next 6 months. Things that, to be very honest, like, we've been thinking about for years, but we're only now in a place to be able to execute on those things now that we kind of have the basics of the platform there. So what you'll see over the next 6 months are things that we've been thinking about for years, but haven't been able to do because we weren't quite there yet. So some really big features, some really major updates coming. And, along the way, whatever we build, we're always thinking about how to continue to make this stuff very delightful, not make sure that the platform never becomes bloated. We focus on really helping with your meetings and your meeting culture overall. And with that said, thank you all for joining today. You can always send me a note. My email is pretty easy. It's Aydin, Aydin @Fellow.app. So, anything that, I can help with, please do reach out. Please do continue to send us your feedback on Canny and your feature requests. And with that said, I hope you all have a great rest of your day.